Welcome everyone to another episode of Talent You Should Know, where we focus on the entertainment industry on a different level. Not only will there be artist and actor interviews of known and unknown talent, but insight into the team behind them that helps them build their brand. Each week, we'll tackle a different person in the industry with talents in their own rights. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome everyone to another episode of Talent You Should Know with Zag. Today we have music industry vet Camille Evans. Welcome.
Yes, how are you, sister? Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's interesting because, I've been in the music industry for a long time, and you know how you hear people's names and you don't necessarily know who they are.
Right.
Told me that there were a lot of people who you don't know who you should know, right?
Okay.
And then I had, one of the things that came out of 2020 was Clubhouse.
Yes.
I promise every room that you in, it was actually starting to get to the point where I would look to see if you Big Said, and you three, if you weren't in the room, then I didn't feel like there was going to be authentic feedback.
Oh, wow. That's amazing to hear that. Yeah, the world opened back up again, right? So we're in our real world again. Everything was almost in this bubble. And so you had the time to devote. Plus you wanted that human interaction, even if it was a verbal oral thing going on. But lately, I haven't been on there. It's kind of lost a lot of luster. And you're right. There's a lot of rooms that are in there, and it's really startling that there's a lot of people who are proclaiming to be specialists and are not. And, sometimes you listen to the feedback and you're listening, that ain't true. That's not right.
Yeah.
That's how much it costs. You know what I mean? So I appreciate it. I think that a big part of executives that are in the level that I'm on, like with Said and Big D, the Weatherman, people that I know who've done real stuff, Doc-ish. I'm not taking away from anybody else. I'm just saying people that I know, it's an opportunity for us to give back.
Yeah.
It's also really great to interact with new artists and see and keep relevant. That's how you keep relevant, right? Because you stay around what's young and what's new, and you get out of your bubble. So I appreciate it. I hope that everyone has been able to learn a little bit of something. And Said started the executive class now with us. I have my own room, which I need to start doing more stuff in, but Said started this executive class based on the same type of vibe that you're feeling, So yeah, we're here.
So I want to go back, start from the beginning, because, I think a lot of people, they look at the industry and they're like, I want to do that. You know what I mean? And it's do you know what it takes to do that? It's not just you kind of make a hit song and then all of a sudden you're at the Beyonce
level, right? Yeah,
right. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, I know that it's interesting. You majored in political science, right, for college, but then you went on to do. You started at Motown, and then.
Well, yeah, I started. I was getting ready to graduate, and for some reason, I wanted to go. I wanted to go to law school. I always had it in my head. My dad's a lawyer. And I don't know if it was some type of paternal yearning to kind of walk in your father's footsteps, right? And it's really weird because I've been doing artistic, creative stuff since I was 5 years old. I was, doing ballet and on toes at 8 and You know, I was one of those Fame kids. I'm aging myself, but you remember the movie Fame from back in
with if you want to, you know, dance, you got to work.
Yes, I was a Fame kid, so I would go to school during the day and go to auditions after school, and I was part of the Alvin Ailey Children. So I was always in this mix, right? I don't know where in this creative process I decided to become a lawyer, and I even went to high school at Fashion Industries because I love fashion. So I was always doing this creative thing. And I didn't realize that, you know, you needed an internship when you graduate from college. And I was like, so the universe, my sister, I went to the what are areas where where you go for your guidance and all this stuff. And they were like, okay, look on the board. Sis, when I looked on the board, they were so random, so weird. There were 2 internships, one at Sony Columbia and one at Epic Records.
Wow.
Random and weird. So I go to both. Now, mind you, I had already been in the mix. I was already dancing for some of the hip hop groups. You know, everybody had a dancer back then. I was main sources dancer. I was doing all this stuff. So I go, okay, let me go. So I go to both interviews. I get accepted to both.
Right.
Joe Fatal says, take the Sony Columbia route. So that was my soon-to-be husband. And he was, you know, live at the barbecue with Nas and Akinelli and Large Pro. So I was already in this mix. So I go and I'm sitting down and I meet this wonderful sister, Cynthia Rayburn, who headed the Human Resources Department. Mind you, I didn't know too much about the business of music. Right. I knew the creative side of it. And I'm running my mouth, girl. I had long dreads. I was a sight. I had the 3 earrings in my nose, like 3 in my nose. Like 2, I was one of those, I was there. Yeah. And it's like, you need to go to the marketing department. And I said, what's that? So she walks me upstairs and I meet my mentor, Ashley Fox. Wow. And we just had this really wonderful initial connection. And I told her everything I was doing and she told me what she was doing. And I get up and I walk to the door and she goes, Cam. And I looked at her so weird because that's a name that my family calls me, but they call me Cam. She said Cam. Right. And I turned and she said, you're going to sit in my seat one day. First day I met her for an internship. And I looked at her and I said, oh, sis, I don't want to. And she said, but you will. And I interned for Ashley for 6 months. I used to write. I love writing. So I became the girl at Columbia that was known for writing marketing plans. So all these executives were coming and asking me to do their plans for them. I was just so happy to be in this mix. Yeah. Of these great Black executives with power and that feel of being at a label. It was amazing. Yeah. And so when Ashley got offered the job to EVP MCA Records, instead of taking her assistant, she took me. And I never looked back. So we left Columbia. Yeah. And I EA'd for her for a year. And during that year, it was boot camp. And I became a director. She made me a director and we oversaw Andre Harrell's Uptown Records label at MCA. Yeah. And we had a couple of our own signs. So we had Mary's and we did the whole Share My World project, which I'm so proud of. Heavy D, God rest Heavy D. He was so funny. Monifa. Yeah. Jodeci, and we had some new acts that we had, Sharice Arrington. And then I just never looked back. I just never looked back. Yeah.
As a side note, very rarely is a second album as impactful as the first, as Share My World was.
So, such an impactful album. Such an impactful album. I think Mary, you know, she was still in a place of finding herself and she was transitioning into the Mary that we know, because Mary was really rough in the beginning. Yeah. Because, you know, look, she came from where we came from. We all come from, you know, poverty in the streets and stuff. And so we evolved into the woman that we are today. But I think that the thing that we love about Mary and artists like Adele and the Amy Winehouses of the world, God bless her soul, and Pink, these type of artists that, like, when they are really in turmoil, they sew it into their music. Yeah. And there's something in there that connects with everyone, especially every woman. Yeah. Because we're all, you know, as women, we're always going through some crap, right? We're always trying to re-nurture our men, and we still hoping for the best, and we're doing motherhood and trying to have a career. So that album was such one of my greatest accomplishments to have to been with a team to collaborate on. I would say, yeah, compared to a lot of things I've done, I just love being a part of that project.
Yeah. And just as like a singer, I was like vocally completely different from the first album, especially that song she did with U2 on that album. I was like, this isn't vocally the same Mary.
No. She's definitely grown. Yeah, Mary's definitely grown. Her whole stage appearance, everything. Yeah, she's one of the best. And she's had so much longevity, consistent longevity, and that's just never heard of in this business, especially nowadays.
So seeing everything that you saw from then, and then, what was, I think, the turning point, like, in your career? Because I know that, you started off in marketing, and then, you kind of moved over into, operations. But what was it that said, you know what, this is it, this is what I'm doing, and I'm running with it?
I think I was running with it from the...
You go ahead.
I think I was running with it from the very beginning. I think there's never plan Bs for me. And it's so funny that you asked this question, because I remember doing a panel at Queens College, and I had these amazing women. It was a women's panel. And one of the sisters, I respect everybody's process.
Yeah.
And one of the sisters was like, she was telling the graduating class, plan, and, you have to have a plan, and you have to come up with the blueprint and this kind of stuff. And, I'm listening, and I respect everybody's opinion. And then when it came to me, me, I was like, oh, I ain't got no plan.
Right.
I jumped out. And of course the kids love the rebellion, right? And I'm like, oh, when you plan to fail.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So for me, my plan is always to win.
Yeah.
So I jump out the window, sis. And while I'm jumping out the window with the grace of God, I'm praying that as I am jumping out this window, that there are little ledges that I can catch on to save me before I fall. So there's never been like, oh, what was the turning point? No, like I knew that I was thrown into this depth of what we call music, and I wasn't looking back. Like that was it for me. Yeah. And I just knew that along this way, there were going to be layers. Yeah. So there was going to be the marketing. And then when you do marketing, then you always do PR, because the marketing person for the label actually manages the artist on behalf of the label. Right. So you're actually the hub, the main hub. That's like the liaison between every single department. Yeah. So you got to know what radio is. You got to know your BDS, your media base. You got to know all of these things. You got to know what PR is doing and what publications. You got to know, now they call it commerce, which was sales. So you got to be on top of all that. Now there's digital. Yeah. There's all of these things that you have to know. So inevitably, the marketing person is going to transition and start hustling and doing media, hustling and managing artists, because that's what you've been doing your whole life. Yeah. So it's never like, oh, there's a turning point in my life and I'm like, okay, now I'm going to really stick to this. It's like, this is what I'm doing and I'm going to rock it out.
Right.
Yeah, there's never a plan to fail.
And what's interesting, and another reason that I wanted to speak with you is because I talk to a lot of men in this industry, and it's very, I hate to say this, and I hope that it comes across the right way, is that I haven't found a hub of like strong women in this industry that I've been able to talk to about certain things. And not saying that there aren't, I'm saying that they're not as, maybe not necessarily as vocal, but maybe not as, whatever it is. And so have you found that that makes a difference, or maybe even makes it like your impact more powerful because, from being a woman, or?
Yeah, unfortunately, you're right. Like, I think coming up in the business as a woman, Ashley was my only mentor, and she was very different. But she's also like me. Like, she thinks like a man. She moves like a man. She acts like a man. She talks. And it's really messed up to say like a man. Like, you can't be like a woman. Yeah. But the personality traits of what we have, that aggressiveness.
Yes.
That, when we hear things, it just rolls off our back and we don't get sensitive like some women get. We removed the emotional factor of being a woman in the music industry. But yeah, they really weren't, you know, and I will say, let me play devil's advocate, right? Because when I was coming up, we were the trailblazers. So there was no one that was going to be there showing us the way. We were all figuring it out ourselves. Yeah. We were the original Black executives. I started in 95. Yeah. So before me, there was nothing, right? While I was at Sony as an intern, Stephanie Gale, who now works with Mona Scott, was someone's assistant. Yvette Noel Shure was a publicist. That is the one that does has been doing Beyonce and Destiny's Child from day one. So you have to understand, like, we were all trying to figure it out, right? There was nobody there that we could call. So we either hubbed with each other, or you had that one person, like it was me and Ashley's team. And that was it. And then there was no one else that you can call. And then the women were really competitive. Yeah. And to be honest with you, the colorism was really competitive.
It's real.
The colorism was... And unfortunately, and I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it, you know, the music industry back then and still to now, there's this brown paper bag rule. Was it brown paper bag rule back then?
Yeah.
And if you didn't look like me, I hope that's not me. If you didn't look like me or, you know, have the traits like me, you weren't really being pulled into the music industry. Now, I do remember when Clive was running he did have, I called it the Black Essence girls. So they all were like beautiful chocolate girls, but I do remember they were very shady with me. So it was very spikely. It was very spikely back then. You know what I mean? So yeah, the sisterhood was in bits and pieces, and it wasn't a sisterhood of what it is now. Right. Has the sisterhood gotten better? I don't even know. Yeah. Sisterhood has gotten better. I know that I've never changed. And so I've tried to always be who I was, and I fed a lot of sisters along the way. Yeah. I continue to, and that's maybe because of how I was raised by a Black mother. Yeah. That doesn't look like me. My mother is dark. Yeah. And so my mentality was knowing who I was and just happened to be born looking like this. And so I wasn't on that at all. But yeah, our sisterhood needs work. Yeah. Our sisterhood needs so much work.
I talk to people and I'm like, I have a very small, and when I mean very small, I have like 3 friends.
Girl, me too.
You know? And at the same time, it's one of those things like, the reason that is because a lot of people aren't on the same, you know, page as far as like professionally or ambition wise and that kind of stuff. And so it's like, who can I relate to? And who, you know, really understand, because even the friends that I have now aren't in this same industry.
Oh, wow. Yes.
You know what I mean? And so
I don't even understand what you're doing.
Because I do this, I'm telling you, Camille, like, I don't, you know, get paid, obviously. I do it because I love it so much. And I love showcasing people, and like, I'll sit there and I'll tell someone, you know, like, oh, you should put this on this platform, or you should promote it, because I just want to see.
Culture. It's about the culture.
Yeah.
People don't get it. It's about the culture, and there's some of us that are, it's a kind of destined journey for us. Yeah. It's all about the culture. And you're right. I mean, I posted something on my page, and it was today that said, you know, you have to be careful who your friends are, and you have to pick and choose the people around you really wisely, because it's the truth. Like, if you want to be successful, you have to align yourself with the people that are more successful than you are, right? Or they're on the same level, but there's aspects of what they do that different or better that you can still learn from. And it's not like, oh, I'm only going to be with people that I can use. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with just being around glory, right? And not wasting your time. You know, I can't be around people who just have no ambition. And that's good. Like, if that's what you want to do, sis, you know, you want to just, you know, if that's what you want to do, then and you're happy, then that's what matters. But I'm not about that. My whole thing is like, you know, I sleep, but I'm a sleep when I'm dead. But now I'm going to be hustling and making bread, because that's what your freedom comes from, right? Financially being free to do the things that you want to do. So since I get it, there's nothing wrong with feeling like that at all.
And I, like, you know, I'm 43. I intern. Like, I saw someone doing what I wanted to do, and I'm like, do you mind if I just intern with you? And I said that to like 2 different people. So it's internships and learning.
That's how you get put on. It's the truth.
Yeah.
And you're never too old to keep learning, because people think like, oh, you know everything. No, I want to keep changing. Let me tell you something. I surround myself with these young girls. These are young people in this industry. Like, I want to know what y'all are talking about. Y'all always change these little language and calling people. I want to know what y'all are doing. I want to know how you dress. I want to know what you're listening to. You know, I don't want to be in the car constantly, no disrespect to the Sirius and Rock the Bells. I do that too. But I want to know what the new songs are.
Yeah.
I want to hear the Polo G new album that just came out.
Right.
I want to be a part of the thread of what this new culture is doing. Like, come on, you know?
Yeah. So I want to touch on your time at Roc Nation, and then I want to get into more of, you know, the things that you've been doing, you know, recently.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm saying Roc Nation is because when Roc Nation started, it was like nothing we'd ever seen before. And I know that you were like the GM of strategic operations there. And it was like, tell me what that was like being so early on in that business, because when Roc Nation came out, everyone was like, I'm getting signed because Jay's running this. So obviously.
Right. Well, you know, when I came in, I had to actually taken a break from music, and I went to get my master's in education. That was important for me to get that.
Yeah.
And I was working with a lot of schools teaching the business of music and entrepreneurship and all this stuff. And then I got a call from Benny Pugh, who I'd worked with in the past at MCA, and he called me like 3-4 times, and I had said no every single time to go inside at another label. But this time it was just a different approach to speaking to me about the vision of it. And I think at that time, Jay, they had been doing label stuff already, but I think they wanted some of the vets to come in and really kind of put up more of a cohesive foundation to developing the Roc Nation Records side. So it was 5 of us that walked in, and we sat, and it was really like bare bones, because 5 of us like literally sat in the conference room for 2 weeks because the offices weren't even done.
Right.
They ended up restructuring, and that was the old building. You know, Jay's now got his own office building now.
Right.
But we're on 40th, and yeah, it was fun. You know, it was a lot of work. We had some built-in artists that were already there. Belly was there. Vic Mensa was there. Victory Boyd was there. Who else was there? Jaden Smith was there. And they had put some stuff out already. And so what we kind of did was just kind of develop a real label structure, from bringing in like, you know, the radio person and a publicist and digital and that kind of stuff. So we put the people in place. I think what I took away from my experience at Roc Nation is the importance of a brand. Like, they are so OD with that brand. And not caring, I wouldn't say not caring. Let me find my words. Being very exclusive about who enters this brand, who they do business with as a brand. And it's just amazing. Like, when that during the Grammys, like the Rock Brunch has superseded the Clive Davis party as to the golden ticket that no one can get. Yeah. Like, I was getting calls from presidents at major labels, like, are we getting invited? You know, I'm like, you come from the top. You know what I mean? So I think they've done a wonderful job at creating an exclusive brand. And I think if people, especially artists, really see themselves like that, they would carry themselves in a different way. And of course, you know, I have a lot of great notches on my belt. So that's another really great one to say that I work with the GOAT. And I was able to be in meetings and hear him speak at this, because I've known, you know, I know the Jay before Jay, and then I've been in the rooms with the Jay-Z of now. And his demeanor is so calm. It's so fun. It's such a peaceful, calm, his tone, it never you know, it's just a conversation. So yeah, that was a highlight of just being around Black excellence, I would call it. they do things to the other level. So that was dope.
So, I want to go back to something you said about getting your master's in education. So why was that so important to you?
Well, first of all, it was a personal thing because my grandmother, God rest her soul, who was like my mom after my mom, right? Our grandparents was always like our first parents. My grandmother always told me that no matter what you do, and I was taught this from a really young age, she was a woman that I'm a first generation of the immigrants in this country. And my grandmother came to this country and she was the matriarch of our family. And she brought everybody down, her sisters, her husband, my mother. And education was just so important to her. So what she couldn't have, we did for her when it came to that level of being able to go to schools and, getting different degrees. And I remember her telling me, like, no matter what you do in this country, no matter what it is, they can't take this away from you. So always see this. So I promised her that no matter what I did, I would always have the paper, because the difference between the paper and not is the ability for the door to open for you in white America. That's just real talk, right? School sense is not as important as common sense. Let's be very clear. Common sense gets you through the world, but book sense allows you to be in boardrooms. It allows your vocabulary to elevate. It allows you to understand and read and see and analyze things to a different level. And so for me, if I had to pick anything, any degree, it was being able to give back and educate. And so that was so important for me, because I created this entire curriculum, which I'm hopefully, praise God, I can really put some energy into developing fully. I want to have like a whole after school that teaches the business of music, because I want Black children to understand that there's more to holding a mic in your hand or a ball or a bat. There are people like me that work behind the scenes that honestly have more longevity and most times a little bit more power than some of the artists that are on stage. There was a time in the 90s where the Black executive had so much power.
Oh, yes. I remember.
Like, we were the celebrities. Like, like, oh my God, we were the celebrities because we were the specialists. There was no digital, remember? So those boys at them labels that weren't our culture had to rely on us for like, what was music, what is good, what is bad. Now they think they don't need us no more because they think it's all black and white and all numbers. But at the end of the day, you can have numbers, but don't know how to deal with a Black artist, don't know the psychology of a Black artist, don't know trends for Black artists. That's intrinsic in who we are as a people. You can't get that. Right, you can't. Right, you got to live that life. So I think I think that some of the labels are realizing that now. Because they changed it, honey. And when you came to see us at a label, when you opened up that elevator door open, straight booming music.
Yes, I remember going in the Def Jam.
Oh, girl, all day long. It was a party. I used to be in my office and I would be banging the walls like to tell them, yo, turn it down because I'm on the phone.
Right.
You go in a label now, sister, you can hear a pin drop.
Yes.
So corporate. So quiet, so transparent. And so that flavor of the culture is missing because they think that it's just about corporate and it's about culture,
That's what I'm stuck like. I think that's what draws me to like Empire and like watching
Max Appeal, those type of, right.
Like building their brands, and I'm like, they're taking it back to what it was. Like even the artists, hold on, let me say it properly. For Jeff.
Okay.
Even her gives me the 90s vibes.
Yes.
Current, and that's why I love it. But if you see all of these labels like actually really looking for talent now and really making it about.
Yeah, they're figuring it out.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're figuring it out. Yeah. Hopefully they'll start looking back at some of the vets and bringing some of the vets back. I don't know. There's a lot of them that are doing other things now, and I'm just lucky that I'm still being able to be so relevant after so long that they still want my ass to be still doing stuff. But again, you know, it's the mindset that you keep.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
So tell us about Inspired in New York. That series. Yes.
So when I was getting a little burnt out, I had done label for like, I don't know, it was over a decade of just straight labels. I was tired and I started really praying hard, like, God, I don't know. And random again, I got a call and I met Noah Kerner, who at the time was running Noise Marketing. He's now the head of Acorn, and I don't know all those crypto stuff. So he's Acorn now. So Noah had this small agency with huge clients. And I was at Motown under Sylvia. And I took the gig. It was great. Thank God he was giving me good money. And he had good clients like Bacardi, and under Bacardi was Bombay Sapphire and Chase Bank and Sunkist. And it was all these young, dynamic kids, and they were working on all these projects on the ad side. And I'd never done it. So I was like, right, this is a whole different piece of puzzle for me to learn. So I went over there and I started working for one of my biggest clients was Bacardi. And under Bombay Sapphire, we had to execute on behalf of the brand for the African-American consumer market. So I was doing all of these events nationally. So I was on the road, like, I don't know how, like 36, 30 at times, like 30, I don't know. Like I was on the road all the time until I got like so anxious from being on this daggone plane. But one of the campaigns that we did was Inspired in New York. So we did Inspired, and then we did Inspired in New York, Inspired in LA, Chicago. And I created this event where I kind of merged local heroes in each market. And then I merged them with the politics. And I had senators and congressmen and councilwomen giving proclamations to people of these towns who did really great. So like in Atlanta, we honored Ambassador Andrew Young and Monica and India Irie, and then some local people. In Chicago, we did Twista and R. Kelly because before, and I'm not listening. People don't like to say his name, but since I was at Jive Records, and I'm very proud because we moved the man from the music. I'm very proud of what my contribution was to R. Kelly music. And then we did New York, and we had a lot of people in New York to Malik Yoba and stuff. And then when I left, again, I jumped to another label thing, but then I was like, I need to do this again because it's such a dope event. And so I did it under my company, CME Group, and we started doing it locally. And I worked with like Senator Sampson and Councilwoman Dickens and everything. I think I stayed a lot in Harlem because Harlem is so pro-Black. Oh my God, it's so pro-great when you know it's historical. And and I just started doing Inspired. So I really want to do Inspired again now that the world has opened back up. I just have to balance out, because one thing that COVID has taught me is to slow down. And I really needed that, sis. I needed that.
And I didn't do an episode this past week. Like I was here.
Yes.
I
didn't have to, girl.
I got the first facial. I got a foot massage. I did everything. I didn't do anything.
And that's good. And that's what we need.
Yes.
Absolutely nothing, because my whole life has been absolutely everything for everyone except for me.
And that's how we have these conversations with other Black women about that's what we are. And then, so we're everything for everyone, right? And we're strong, right? And we're strong for other people, but then we have our own goals and the own things that we're supposed to be doing. So when is the time where's our break, right?
Never.
And
don't be a mother too, girl, because never. And let me tell you something, you have adult children like I do, they never go away. They never.
My son doesn't want to leave. He's supposed to go to college. He was like, well, when you move, I can just live with you and go to school. I said, no, you don't.
No, you're going to live right.
You're going to live on campus. I didn't say it that nicely. I actually said, no, the fuck you can't.
No, I do. Girl, you better get the fuck out of my house. No, I'm not the one. I'll be just waiting.
Right.
Now, my last one is going to be a heart I'm going to be bawling because I'm so attached. And he's like almost the only child now because I had a big gap between the 12. He was 12, my daughter was 12 when I had him. So it's like being a mother all over again. So when he leaves, I'm going to be one of those snot crying. But the others in them, I was just looking at like, time for you to
my
go.
daughter was that way, but my son, even though I say you got to get out, COVID has made us so much closer, and he has said it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, I want you to get out, but I'm gonna feel like I'm still lonely.
I'm lonely. Yes, I know. I'm gonna be the same way.
So you're doing all of the things, right? And then I want to get into CME Group. Like, what made you branch out on your own? Like, what?
Oh Lord. So let me tell you the truth. So I was at Noise, and I got pregnant with Josiah in 2008. I had him in 2008, so I got pregnant, I guess, end of 2007, whatever the 9 months is, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like one of the only Black people, and then I was the only Black person that they hired when I went into Noise, and then I brought in some color with me under my team. So as is the world, at the time, Trump and Dubai, way before the Trump of now, Trump and Dubai did the Trump Dubai hotels. And they were doing the promotion for the hotel in Dubai and New York. So instead of going to the Black agencies where they have real connections, right? They go to a very well-known, I can't say, but a very well-known PR firm, huge clients. But of course, they have no connections to music and Black artists, right? So they ended up calling Noise and I'm the specialist. So I was the one that had to do all the booking, speak to the freaking lawyer, do all the negotiations. So I ended up booking they wanted Alicia Keys. The Sultan wanted Alicia. She wanted $1 million. He didn't want to pay the $1 million. So I ended up getting Christina Aguilera for $750,000 for I think a 45-minute set back then. You know, the money back then was crazy.
Money, right.
And then I booked Pete Wentz for a 60-minute guest DJ. I think he got about 20, 30. I don't remember. So I did all the booking. And then we did another booking for the New York event, which I think we had Demi Moore walk the carpet. When I saw what the commission was, the 6-figure commission, you know, I'm sitting back thinking, I'm going to get 10% of this 6-figure.
Right.
Girl, when I saw that it was part of salary, it was said to me. And so I did all that work, and I was like, my fault, right? For not saying in the beginning, and that's why you have to really fight for yourself and don't assume.
Right.
And then the recession came in, and then when the recession came in,
07 I got laid off that year.
I got laid off too, because 90% of my budget came from Bacardi. And so it was a back-to-back blow. And, you know, after you catch yourself, after the tears, after the anger, I said, oh, never again. Because I have made millions, I don't know how many millions of dollars for the labels over the years as my participation. And of course, they paid me a salary, right? But that salary doesn't equate to the time, the sacrifice that we put in, and the profit that you machines made off of us as Black music executives. And so I said, never again. And when my son was born in 2008, I created CME Group. And I said, I would still do what I did, but I would never not have me contained and protected and invested. And that's how CME Group came about. And my first client was Wendy Williams. She was launching her show. She had just got the show with Debmar Mercury. And Debmar Mercury already had built-in publicists for her. But at the time, Kevin and Wendy were looking for someone that was going to concentrate her within the urban community still and get her the Essence covers and the hair covers and all that stuff. So I went in to do publicity for her for about 4 months. And that was my first client under CME. And I got her, I did an Inspired for her. I did her launch of her party. I got her a lot of, money and bread from different sponsorships and people gifting her. And I got Scott Stringer, who was I think he was the borough He was the borough president at the time, or whatever. Yeah, I think, yeah. And I got her the Wendy Williams Day in New York City.
Oh, wow. I remember that. Yes.
I got that for her, and I did the school launch for the show. I came up with that. So, yeah. And then from there, and then I started doing Inspired under CME.
Wow.
So CME is a boutique marketing, media, and management company.
Yes.
So over the years, I've worked with, different artists, different indie artists. I've done the management with Bounty Kill and Supercat, and some other new indie artists. I don't manage a lot anymore because it's so much time, but I did pick up Miranda Wrights off of Clubhouse.
Yeah.
She's a young rapper. She's a snowboarder. She has endorsements by Burton, which is one of the biggest extreme outdoor companies. And I took Miranda on because I saw how much work she did, and she spoke well. And I love it was music and sports. See, I want to be a part of things that are different.
Yeah.
I'm people like me. It's really hard to get us excited. I've worked Toni and Cash Money and Mystikal, and I've been blessed to be around Pink and all these Outkast, and it's like, what you want me to do now? Like that, it's hard to excite a vet. So I just, I want to be around different things that have different merging qualities that excite me. And so I love the fact that, she's doing something in sports and extreme sports and raps, and that's cool. So I brought her in to manage her. There's 2 other people I'm watching, but I want to keep my plate really sparse.
Yeah, because managing someone is really you're so immersed in their world, because it's everything down to, why did you tweet that at 6 o'clock?
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then for you to have a whole company and managing,
it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. And then I'm overseeing, the social media marketing analytics for Loud Music Group. Loud did the relaunch, and it's now Loud Music Group. So I do that as well, which is really dope. And it's a lot. And then I have some things that I'm working on, for myself and my brand. I'm writing a book. And so I want to take this, and I still do my school stuff, sis. I'm involved with Adelaide Sanford Institute. We're doing the Brooklyn Education Collective. I've been doing this for like about 5-6 months, and we're going to be presenting a reform to them, to the new mayoral candidates, because there's an influx of millions of dollars that's coming in to the New York City and state education system, and we want to make sure that these funds are being allocated to children in need, children in these boroughs of Brooklyn and Queens and in impoverished communities. We want to make sure that you're giving our kids the money, the technology, the equipment that they need. So I still do my education stuff, and I need to balance my life. Yeah. And I'm still a mother. I'm a mother to, he's going to be in the 8th grade and coming up, so I want to just have fun, and I'm slowing down. I'm slowing down and go to church I'm a devout Catholic girl. I got to go to church on Sundays. So, that's what I do. Yeah. And by the grace of God, I'm able to do it. And I think I'm the happiest that I've been, sis, personally in a long time, because I've never been satisfied with myself, and that was a curse to have that mindset. Yeah. So I said I think COVID kind of rewired me, because I need to stop thinking about the future, and I need to just be present in my space where I'm at now.
I think that's such a valuable statement, that you said, is being present in your space right now. Yeah. Like, you're not worried about the past, and you're not worried about the future. You were doing today. Yeah, just today. And, if God wakes me up tomorrow, then I got another opportunity to make tomorrow really great. But I got to leave that competitiveness in me. I had to give that away. Yeah. That shit will drive you crazy, sis, especially as a woman. Oh, that'll drive you crazy. I ain't never satisfied, but now I'm learning to be satisfied. Girl, I just went and got me a personal trainer.
Pray for me on
because that COVID 40, and I call it COVID 40 because that's how much I gained throughout the debacle.
Now me this personal training. I got the dates on the calendar. Now I got to get out the house and commit myself, because if I do it on my own, I'm not gonna do it. You know, I got a bike. I'll be on that bike, but when that 15-minute mark come up, girl, I begin to get off that bike. So now if I'm paying for something, I'll force myself to do it. So yeah, it's now about just, like you said, like a spa day, girl.
Yeah.
Do your lashes, girl. Like, go out and just get your hair done, you know?
Yeah.
I'm a queen of the nails. Like, go, like.
Every 2 weeks, I promise you, people, like, yeah.
Yes, I love it. Okay? You like me, girl. Because, you know, people look at that. They look at your face. They look at your nails. That, you know, that says a lot about you. So, yeah, we all about that life.
Yeah. One thing I liked about your mission statement, you said, you know, you provide strategic counsel, creative solutions, and the thing is, you said timely responses, because things move so fast in business that for you to take 3 or 4 days to respond to something, things have changed. The money is gone. The check is somewhere else, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Some executives are so horrible. I hate when you text someone and it takes them 3 days to get back to you. Like, I can't do business with you like that.
Right.
No, like I'm so good on a response. I've always been like that, because people do not understand, like, this time, sis, that me and you have devoted to each other, we can never get that back. So that's why you got to make sure that you choose your time really wisely and make sure that the time that you are investing is for a purpose.
Right.
Otherwise, it's lost. And I've just spent a whole hour sitting there talking with somebody about dumb shit that's not purposeful. You done sat here and wasted my time for a whole hour. I could have been doing it.
Right.
You know what I could have been doing in a whole hour? Girl.
If I would have come on here and been like, you know, I think that you're really pretty, and I think that you would have been like, so I got to go because I got to make some money. And that's, you know, even if I have to reschedule something, if I have to do anything, like, I work around my guest calendar because I don't take for granted what, you know, you guys do on that end. And I know the content that I'm trying to put out and make it valuable for other people, right?
Totally. And I get it. And I love it, you know, and keep doing it. And the good thing about you is that you stay on top of it, and you stay on top of it with a good demeanor. You ain't getting upset when we tell you, oh, I can't do it, this one and that one, but you stay on top, and that's how you get things done. And so keep going, because there's a purpose that you're doing this. It's going to touch someone. It's going to see your skills. Because for me, listening to you interview, you've done your homework on me. And a lot of people have interviewed me and they just ask me these generic questions, and they never read a bio, never looked at my site, never Googled, never understood. But you, in our conversation, I'm like impressed, because I'm like, okay, sis looked me up and she knows what I did. And that is commendable, sis. That's a really great interviewer. A really great interviewer.
So, thank you. Now, my whole, okay. So you do what you do. You do all of these, you're very multifaceted, but for someone who wants to do what you do, like do the marketing and or even in operations, just be in this entertainment world, what do you think, what do they need to do? How do they start, and how do they create longevity? Well,
I mean, I think depending on who you are, like you said, you took an internship. I think if you really want to get in the machines and the corporate end of it, the best way to do it is through an internship, honestly, because then you're faced that you're inside of this hub, and you can really see the mechanics of everything that goes on daily. And if you're dope, you can and will get picked up. When I was at Roc Nation, we were the first people, and I pushed it personally. I was the one that pushed it, and we hired 2 interns into regular assistant gigs. And they'd never done that before. But I knew how important that was in my start. So I made sure that I picked, one of the kids got picked up as an EA for the, Brandon got picked up as an EA in the A&R department, when we put another girl in the marketing department. And now she left and she's over at United Masters as a marketing person. So you see how the blessings get put. So I would definitely say, if you want to do the corporate side in any business, I would say whether it's finance or whatever, that you should definitely try to get an internship and get yourself in. But when you get the internship, let me be very clear. Don't think that it's just an internship. Like, we need to see you work.
And be innovative.
Yes, and be innovative and take initiative. Like, if you see that I'm working on a project, like, do some stuff in it and come in and be like, hey, Camille, I know you're working on this here. Like, we note that. Like, a lot of these interns, they come in and they're lazy and you can't send them out for lunch and you can't do this. And it's so ridiculous now. And they just want things to be handed to them. So have an initiative, because that's how you get picked up, right? And then if you're on the indie tip and you just want to create your own business, I would say work small. Like, find someone local that you can rep, or a local artist that you want to manage in your city. And start building a network. Like, get to learn all the DJs in your city, all the promoters in your city. Work with the local college campuses and see what the colleges are doing that you can integrate some of your skills with. And like I said, you have to think of yourself as a brand and how you want to plateau yourself and present yourself, and be organized, right? So it's a lot of consistency, being resilient and hardworking and diligent, and being organized and writing things down. Either you're going to get a notebook. I was taught, like, and it's in my other room, but I still have notebooks, but I write everything in every day. Now, sometimes, like when I'm on the road, I put it in the notes in my phone. Every day I have notes, sis, to do. Every day I have to do notes, and I write them down, and that's how I stay on top of my game, even on my personal level. Like, I have like the to-do for my personal, and then I have the to-do for my business. And every night I put my to-do list together and I get it done. And you will see how fluid your life is. Because you remind yourself, I got to call Doc Ish. I got to, get, this song mixed and mastered today. I got to reach out. We're doing a video shoot on the 16th. I got to, you got to be organized. Because your head gets flooded every single day. And then the more stuff your shit starts getting at the middle, because new input keeps coming in. So that's what I would say. It's just a lot of hard work and just building your network. The world is opening up. You got to be at parties. You got to be, but at the right parties. Don't just be hanging out twerking. Like,
come on, put a mask on and network and go somewhere. And I said,
go to these. There's a lot of organizations, a lot of Black national alliances, Latin alliances. Like, be a part of this networking, because people don't understand. Our success is, like, I would say maybe 70% who we know and 30% what we know, to be honest with you. It's being able to pick up the phone. Like, you pay me to talk, you pay me to pick up the phone, you pay for my Rolodex, and that's to talk. So that's the advice that I would give for, like, people that want to be in the shoes of people like me and like other people.
So I know we're coming to, we have the hour, we're coming a little bit to the end, but I want to know, like, what the most satisfying thing is about what you do.
So the most satisfying thing about life is being a mother. That God has allowed me to give that gift. And that's my legacy at the end of the day. And I have really great kids that, thank God, didn't give me too much problems when I see the real world. So that's the first thing, that God gave me that gift. And then the second thing is, music is so magical that God has placed me in such a magical medium. Like, I could close my eyes and you can hear a song and you can remember when you were 5 years old, or you can remember your first love. You can also remember a death. It's so God-like. So I think to be a part of a legacy that will always exist beyond my existence, I think that is what God gifted me with. The fact that I was able to have an idea and an artist brought it to fruition, it's such a high, sis. I remember, I'll give you an example. I was at Jive Records. And I had Mystikal, one of my favorite artists of all time, my brother. And I get to understand and know my artists. So I knew that Michael Tyler, his real name, as a kid loved Michael Jackson. And his mom had all these old tapes of him dancing as Michael Jackson as a kid, recorded tapes, right, VHS. And we were getting ready to do the Billboard Awards, and Mike was performing. And we had Shake Your Ass and Danger And, he was top, like we were number one on charts. And I was at a high. I had like 5 Grammy nominations with my artists in one season, all my artists. And we were doing this Billboard Awards, and I decided, and we did Soul Train too. We had Soul Train and Billboard like back to back, and Don Cornelius was still alive. And I think the one that gave him a little trepidation was the Soul Train Awards. So right before the awards, they do the rehearsals. And when you're doing rehearsals, the whole auditorium is filled with all your peers.
Yeah.
So, you're in there with like, Jodeci's sitting down waiting for their turn and all of these like huge groups, Cisco and Drew Hill, like you're around your peers. And so I decided that we were going to do this collection of songs, but in the middle of the song, they were going to stop. And then you would hear, and they would break into the Michael Jackson Thriller dance. And I had the stylists do these things where they put these neon lights that you couldn't see on their costumes. So when the Thriller came on, the lights came down and they went, and it was just all glowed. He glowed, they glowed in the dark.
Yeah.
So Mike gets up there and I go to the back of the stage. I go to the way back because I want to see what people in the back are going to see.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why haven't they why haven't they started yet? So someone calls me and I'm looking and I see him going, and I'm like, so now the whole freaking audience is looking and I got to walk down the damn aisle and everybody's looking at me like, what's going on? Then I got to get up the stairs of the stage.
Get on the stage, right.
Then I got to come up to him. So then it's me and him. And he puts the mic down so nobody can hear. And he's like whispering in my ear. And he's like, yo, you sure? Because I don't think this is going to work. I think I'm like, this is going to be fucked up. Niggas is going to be, looking at me like, just out. I'm just like, and I just looked at him really, because, a big part of what we do is being like a mother. And I looked at him and I said, yo, nigga, do you trust me? And he was like, yeah, sis, you my sis. I said, then motherfucking let's go.
Right.
This, whatever I said to him, he just caught.
Yeah.
And I got down and, now I have to be a diva. So now I got down, I'm like, let's go. Because, I love a show.
Right.
I got down and they put the music on and it started. And then, we didn't do the neon lights shit yet because that was the big reveal in the performance part. But I'll say 2 things. When he did that rehearsal and he stopped, that nigga got a standing ovation from his peers. Every single known artist stood up and gave that nigga a standing ovation. And then when we did it again for the show, I was backstage and Don Cornelius, God rest his soul, walked over to me and he said, that was one of the greatest performances of Soul Train. And I had to hold it. Yeah. And that is the beauty of what I do, that it was able to just, and then we did it again at Billboard. Yes. And at that point, he had to call me again because he knew it was great. So he did 110% more at the Billboard Awards. But those moments, it's a high. It's like, I can't explain it. I'll give you one more. I was working under CME with Tuli Dumakude, who was the original Rafiki in the Lion King. And I met Tuli because I used to dance for Izulu Dance Theater, the South African dance theater that came. And we were the first ones to dance for Nelson Mandela. So I knew Tuli, and Tuli was working with the beaters of South Africa, the sisters that beat all these intricate beat work. And it was going because, South Africa was one of the biggest countries with the AIDS pandemic. Yeah. And I decided to do a campaign with all of the legendary models. And the proceeds of this campaign were going to go through these beaters.
Wow.
And I put Pat Cleveland and Maria McDonald, who's one of the first Black women on the cover of Essence and Ebony. And I put the first muse, Sandy for Givenchy. And then I put some of the younger models. And then I had Mike Ruiz, who shoots, Drew Barrymore and all of these, all these people came in, Nigel Barker, to just be a part of this for free for me.
Yeah.
And when I saw this day of the shoot, I sat back and Mike Ruiz is like asking me to help direct. And I was like, blown the frick away.
Like
When
me?
I saw all the women with the beads and I had draped them in this white linen, the tears just started rolling down my eyes because it's magic to have an idea and God to allow this to come to fruition. And then the idea is used to benefit others.
Yes.
That's the benefit of, that's what the music industry and the entertainment industry is about when it's done right.
Yeah.
And so I have no regrets. Like, I got today or tomorrow, I'm great, sis. Yeah. I did it. I did my best. I tried and I succeeded.
Yeah.
And that's it. And she still got more to go. I'm done. Girl, I ain't done yet. I don't know what the hell's coming next, but I ain't done yet. This book is coming next. I got to write this book. Everybody's been asking me for it. I'm going to write this book.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I've learned so much. I can't even tell you. Like, literally, you were talking, and I'm like, but I was doing it like real quiet.
Real quietly. No, sis. I'm always here for you, whatever you need. I hope your viewers really understand the magnitude of what you're trying to bring to them. I want you to know that the gift that you're doing is definitely warranted, and we thank you for it. And when you feel like it's not going where you are, that's that negative energy, and remove that for your head, because everything is a process. So I thank you for thinking of me and having me on your program, and another sister for life.
Thank you. Oh, there we go. Well, can we just tell everyone where to find you?
Sure. So my IG is CME_GRP, and my website is www.cmegrp.com. So it's group without the O and the U, GRP.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you so much, sister. Have a really great weekend.
You too.
Okay, bye, honey.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to another episode of Talent You Should Know. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel as well as leave a review. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week.